Hello. Okay, I wanted to give a little bit of an introduction so that I can help you frame your thinking for the whole video and how it all comes together. So, this was a training based on we are adding real positions next year to FLA called the K2 co-teachers. And you'll see the more of the details of that, but the participants basically had to role play and act like they were the K2 co-teachers. And then the other two people were the student culture coach and the reading instructional coach. One thing I wanted to note is that all the participants got to join a Nearpod. So as I was presenting, they saw the presentation on their screen. That's why it wasn't on Zoom. But I've edited the video to where the some of the slides that I was presenting, I went ahead and put it in the presentation so that you can see what I'm talking about. But I'm going to go ahead and go through the Nearpod before I show the actual professional development. Okay. So if I share my screen here, this was the K2 co-teacher training, and that was when I went through the agenda. This was a relate break. It was kind of like a do now. Talked about the rationale of adding the position. I talked about the job responsibilities. I talked about the big three, which is the big three responsibilities of the job: co-teaching, small group instruction, and intervention. Then they went and did breakout rooms and they got to collaborate and they got to talk about what does the big three mean, what were your takeaways. And so this is what they posted. And I had a person, you see Phyllis did all three. Misty felt like Phyllis did really well on all those three. So the only thing she wanted to add was what she added on the right. And then we did an activity regarding a personal mission statement. And then finally at the end, they did a exit ticket to give me feedback. So here we go. All right. Thanks everybody so much for joining and being on time so that we could get started. All right, our Nearpod code, I'm going to put in the chat 2DF9Q, 2DF9Q. So go ahead and type that into your browser. You'll go to Nearpod and type that code in. Cassie, Misty's on. Phyllis is on. Okay, everybody's on. Awesome. Great job. Okay, so this is the K2 co-teacher training. There's a lot of information that's going to be put out, but it's also a very reflective training. So here's our agenda. And what we're going to start off with is a relate time or a relate break. And then we're going to talk about the purpose and rationale for adding K2 co-teachers to our staff since it is a very unique role. Then we're going to go into the details of the job duties and responsibilities. We're going to talk about what I call the big three, which will be intervention, small group, and co-teaching. Everyone's going to write their personal mission statement, and then you're going to fill out a PD exit ticket, which will allow you to give me feedback on how effective this training was. Okay, sounds good, everybody? Yes, okay. Okay, so I'm gonna give us 2 minutes and I want you to think of an administrator or coach that you have worked with that you really trust. And what qualities did they have that made you trust them? And I'm gonna give you 2 minutes to type your answers in the chat, okay? And the time is starting now. Okay, all right, and time is up. I'm gonna read everybody's responses. And so first I'll start off with Misty. She said that good qualities are honesty, follow through, did not forget what it was like to be in the classroom, and stood up for teachers. Miss Fan said qualities that makes a trustworthy administrator are showing that they care, being flexible, understanding, and they look out for each other. Coach Harden says honest, transparent, did not sugarcoat, and then they have honest and difficult conversations, but at the same time, to balance it, they're very encouraging. Ms. Grandin says reflective and honest, share of knowledge and passion for kids. And then Ms. Walker says, I would say an old coach who then became my assistant principal, Dee Young, I could trust her knowledge and expertise in the content and her dedication to do what was right for the kids. She always pushed me to learn more. So just in that and all those qualities, I want you to take that with you, because all of you are in a leadership position, because each K2 co-teacher, you're going to be responsible for your own grade level. And then as a climate and culture person, you're going to sometimes be the bridge between teachers and administration as well. And so that's why you serve a unique leadership position. And then as the instructional coach, you're going to be the person that oversees everybody. And so I really think it's important for us to take a second to reflect and say, hey, because that person did that for me, how can I kind of pay it forward? Okay. So this is going to relate to what we're doing today. So let's talk about why we're even adding this position. I got this data from the 2018 to 2019 TAPER report that you can find on TEA.com. So first, initially, as you all know, we have a very high mobility rate at Forest Lane Academy. In this 2017 to 2018 school year, it was 44%, a rate of 44. And so we constantly have kids in and out. Okay. With that being said, when you constantly have kids in and out, you really have to identify their learning needs as soon as possible if you want to move them as fast as possible. Yeah. The second rationale is that we do have a high percentage of ELs, which is 36%. And so definitely with adding this co-teacher position in the primary grades, we are more likely, by working as a team, to prevent gaps from occurring if we can have more support. Yes. Okay. And then lastly, we do have a high percentage of economically disadvantaged students. That would be 92% of our campus. So typically, with that being said, not only do they have learning needs, but they also have behavior, social, emotional needs. And so with adding this co-teacher position, not only will you serve the teacher best instructionally, but by giving that attention more to those students, it can also add a decrease in behavior. If that makes sense. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. And then let's get into the actual job responsibilities. So going back to that relate break that we started off with, your main job as a co-teacher is to collaborate with teachers. Collaboration is different than evaluating them, because we all know that the administrator will evaluate them and they're responsible for their T-tests. So what you want to do is honestly collaborate with teachers and then maybe even help them get better T-test ratings, you know. All the time we assess kids all the time. It's not like a foreign thing that we do. So you are also going to be working with teachers to analyze student data, because there will be some points in the year where you have a certain group, and then depending on the content or where you're at in the year, you may have to switch your groups around. So it's going to be a constant reflection of student data. You are going to be assisting teachers with whole group and small group instruction, as well as you're going to be serving students as an interventionist. Okay, so this is what I call the big three, okay? Can everybody see my picture on here? Okay, so first we're gonna get into a role of co-teaching. So co-teaching, what co-teaching does is it implements teaching alongside the teacher during whole group instruction. That's why I see two teachers back to back. This is what I really, when I think of co-teaching, that's what I think of, is that you're a team, you're partners, okay? Doing this will allow for stronger modeling during instruction, and then it also improves student engagement, because maybe while one teacher is doing the modeling, the other teacher is walking around making sure that the students stay engaged, and then you can also flip those roles at any time, okay? Then the second big part of your job is going to be small group instruction. So when you pull a small group, it still is teacher led. It's just like an I do, we do, where you model and then they're following with you. And then this actually, when you teach a small group, it teaches grade level content in a smaller setting. So I really want to emphasize that this is small group instruction, and there's a big difference between this and serving as an intervention. Okay, now here's my picture, and I'm going to get to why I put this picture on here, okay? So before I talk about what intervention is, can anyone identify in this picture who would be your tier 1 kid? Who would be your tier 1 student? Can anyone identify that?
The one in the front smiling. She's got her face up, her facials, her chest is up, and her legs are high.
Yes. So to me, that would be a tier 1 student, because your tier 1 kids, they love learning, and they're really not in need of any type of intervention. Okay. And then as you can see, their leap is at a different level. And so things like, if the girl that has her leg bent in the back, she's probably going to need the intervention of needing to practice her split stretch, if that makes sense. And then she can do her leap full out. On top of, you see everybody's arms are kind of in a different place. This really represents a classroom to me. Everybody's needs are different, and your individualization is needed in this, okay? So what an interventionist does is they meet students at their instructional level to fulfill their needs, and then they use strategies to close those learning gaps, okay? So after that, I want to stop and I want to ask you guys, what questions do you have? If you're ready to move on, just give me a thumbs up.
So for the small group instruction that we're going to be doing, are we going to be assisting with the rollout of the reader and writers workshop models with our teams too?
Okay. Yes, especially because those writing skills in a primary level are so important, and we're seeing that when they get to 4th grade and they have to take a writing test. Oh no, where did their writing go? Were they ever taught writing? Because it sometimes can get overlooked. So yes, reading and writing workshop as well. That was a good question. Anybody else? Okay. So at this time, I'm going to put you guys into breakout rooms for this next activity. So what you're going to do is, this is a collaborative board, and you're going to describe the big three to me, which would be co-teaching, small group instruction, and intervention. Okay. And describe to me not only the differences between the three, but why they are important. Okay. I'm going to leave this Nearpod up so you can refer back to any of them as well. Do you have any questions about the activity? I'm going to assign you the breakout rooms. Let me make sure. I'm giving y'all 8 minutes, and if we need more time, we'll adjust. Okay. Okay, ready, go.
I use Zoom every day.
All right, I'm recording now.
Okay.
All right, so basically the difference between the three? Let me
I just
move right quick.
we're just describing, I think.
Okay. Hold on. Let me move right quick. Sorry.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. I gotta move.
You probably use my classroom. It's empty, I think.
Yours?
I think so.
Well, I'm already here. All right. So let's see. So we're just describing the three,
Yeah.
right?
Big three: co-teaching, small group instruction, and intervention.
All right, co-teaching is something that we had a chance to do earlier. This is what they plan that they tried to get all the instructional coaches to implement this year.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a book called Student Centered Coaching that we was actually reading. For the most part, that's what it is. Two teachers working together in order to make sure we bring certain kids up to different levels or meeting at the same levels. And that took about a good 3 months. It was in cycles.
Mm-hmm.
We did it in every 2 weeks. We actually did data and intervention, and then go ahead and talk about it, collaborated, worked on lesson plans together, and actually just went back and forth doing it too. So that was co-teaching. As far as intervention, iTime, that's very structured. It's a certain block of time where you pull out the tier 3 kids or the low tier 2, tier 3 kids, and for the most part, just work on different strategies to help empower them so that when they do go ahead and get back to their regular classroom, they can actually, just stay on task and be, for the most part, caught up. And the last one, what was the last one? I'm sorry.
Small group instruction.
Small group instruction is just meeting everybody where they are. For the most part, as teachers, you can actually see it more so better in small group than anything because we cannot teach every kid the same. All kids have different needs. So small group instruction, you're able to be a little bit more flexible and you can actually hone in on all the skills that they have.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I loved small group instruction. Being able to teach like that and having a co-teacher would be amazing. I mean, because that's the way reading should be taught anyway. Is we're meeting them where they are, we're building where they are. We can challenge your highs and work with those lows and get them up. And I love it. And then if you do it correctly, small group instruction and intervention kind of intertwine and become one and the same. So I this would be phenomenal. So you'd see such a difference, and especially in this low demographic where these kids don't have a lot of one-on-one time. I mean, you'd build their emotional skills as well because they're getting that individual attention that they need so much. I like it. I think this is gonna be phenomenal.
Yeah, we like I said, we tried that this year, and each one of us had a certain caseload. I had two teachers. I had second grade for the most part. Work with them, and of course, had a chance to work with y'all this year, which was great. But I'm serious. It really worked out, and it helped teach me as well. And that's what I liked about everything. You can actually learn by co-teaching, finding out the strengths of different people, and actually taking what they've done and incorporating and making it your own as well. So that's what I liked about it.
Co-teaching is a great way to. The whole point in having a partner is to help you grow in the areas you're not good in. So like, if you pair people up correctly, you'd have a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, you hit it right on the head, and just both just going back and forth and strengthening each other too. So it was I'm serious. It was fun. I had second grade for the most part, and the data. If you look at the data compared to when we first started to where it is now, leaps and bounds.
Most definitely. And K1 and 2 are the most important. because kindergarten is in the beginning of reading. That's the basic word calling skills. First grade, you're kind of putting it together and trying to make sense of a little bit. But second grade's where you're really starting to transfer over to that read to learn piece, and just I think,
Right.
oh my gosh, the growth should be phenomenal,
Yeah.
and that's what our goal is, to grow them. We don't
Yep.
expect perfection.
Nope. Make sure they're on level so they can get prepared and whatever grade they go towards next. They'll be
Get them
good.
as close as we can instead of
Right.
chasing so far.
Right.
It's okay to be a little bit behind, but close as we can.
Right.
Are we supposed to type something in also?
I don't know. I do not know, but
Looks like
I
some
think.
people are, but the responses are great. I'm just gonna hit like because I don't know that I could add much more to that.
Oh, on the Nearpod.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I think so.
Start typing. Intervention. We said that was structured and targeted instruction to build low skills in order to bring up a student closer to grade level. Here we go. We said, well, our time's up anyway, but
It
we got
is.
one. That's the only one that hadn't been on there yet.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay, I think we're good.
All right. See you shortly.
All right. I don't think
All
Wendy,
right.
stop your recording so it won't interfere.
Okay, we're on. All right. So the differences between the roles and why each of those roles are important.
Well, first we'll describe the three. So co-teaching, small group, and then intervention.
Mhm.
So y'all want to start with co-teaching?
Yes. Who's scribing?
Do not have paper.
Well, do you have your Nearpod up?
Oh yeah.
I think we can just write directly in there.
Okay, we can do that. I'll
It looks
scribe.
like we only have maybe 250 characters though. So we might have to do a couple different. So for co-teaching, my description of it is kind of like two teachers acting as one. I feel like it's something that's very synchronized, it's very natural. Like when you see good co-teaching, it's something that is happening and is so natural that you don't really notice it, or it doesn't stand out that there are two teachers and not just one, because it's just so, what is it, symbiotic.
And I feel like with co-teaching, you are working alongside the teacher. Like you guys can switch roles anytime, and it is stronger modeling because you never like more eyes in the room, and
Mhm.
you are actively helping students be more engaged with instruction.
And two, this is something that we're going to be doing for tier 1 instruction. Tier 1, like whole group instruction, is where you're going to see this. It's not going to be like seen in small group time.
And are we now going to intervention in small group?
Yeah, I have two teachers acting as one, working alongside each other, and being able to have flexibility to switch roles. So small group instruction, what do y'all say, like between 6 to 8 kids or smaller?
For primary, I think it's going to be a lot smaller. and a lot more targeted. I feel like usually 4 is about the max, maybe 5, depending on like behavior. Um, but usually I feel like it's 3 and 4, especially with if you think of like kindergarten, they're coming in at such different levels, especially when they first come in, that it's hard to group some of them together because they're learning such specific skills. Um, whereas I do think it's a little easier, like when we get up to first and second grade, to have a few more in the group because the skills start to be grouped, if that makes sense. That makes sense.
So
And
usually 4 kids max.
Mm-hmm.
and also with small group, you are targeting a specific skill that they
Mhm.
all are struggling in, the majority are struggling in, or it's more one-on-one time, like teacher and student time to and like create relationships with each other, and also the student is wanting to like will feel more comfortable learning. Okay.
And I know in small group, that's where teachers can really do differentiation with levels of questioning or maybe even the materials that they're using.
Yes. Because I feel like small group is nice because you can group together kids that are needing maybe the same skill or additional work of practice in the same skill, but then you can, when there's only like 4 or 5 in front of you, you can be like, okay, this kid very specifically needs me to say this. This kid needs me to remind them of this. Like, I think that small group really allows you to have almost individualized instruction at certain points during the small group time.
Okay, 2 more minutes left.
Okay.
Intervention.
An intervention that is super targeted. There is a group or a set of skills that this very specific child is missing that we need to intervene and close that gap.
Yeah, my takeaway from interventions are you're using different strategies to help close learning gaps for students, and you're meeting their needs wherever they're at.
Mm-hmm. And intervention versus small group is really being derived from the data. Data is going to tell us who's needing intervention because we're going to continuously certain patterns in the data, and that's going to tell us that's a kid that's needing intervention versus maybe this kid there's a specific skill that they struggle in a little more than others, and that would be more appropriate for a small group. And two, especially in the primary grades, small group really is everyone. At some point in time, every child should be in small group to get that individualized attention. But intervention throughout our grade levels is generally reserved for our students that need the most time, attention, and have the greatest academic need. Oh, hey, I see your little things here.
And I agree with everything Ms. Scranton is saying. Intervention comes from data, the majority, and small group can do for everyone.
Mm-mm.
Because especially in those primary grades, sometimes that's how we introduce new skills in the primary grades is through small group and not through whole group because it wouldn't necessarily be appropriate whole group. Or two, that's lots of little bodies in a very short attention span. But I feel like all the great teaching I see in primary, it tends to be, they're They're masters at running stations. I'm always so impressed by
Grandma.
all of our primary teachers. The way they run stations is
Granted.
like no other.
I thought we were gonna go.
Are we going back? I'm frozen, I think. Either I'm frozen or you're frozen.
Think we lost our host in the process.
Did you save the video, Sarah?
It'll save automatically.
My
Oh.
screen says recording still.
Okay, do y'all need a couple more minutes? I think I see one group is finished. And then Misty, are you finishing?
Well, we didn't feel like we could add much more to what we had seen, so we just kind of hit like on it because we felt like the explanation was clear enough.
Okay, yeah, I see what you're saying. Okay, so let me read these. She says, Miss Walker, co-teaching, 2 teachers acting as one, working alongside, switching roles and being flexible. Small group is targeted instruction with students, about 4 kids. Yeah, students may feel, that was good to specify that. Students may feel more comfortable learning and teachers are able to differentiate more with varying skill level of questions and resources used. That's good. Intervention, a specific set of skills that a student is missing, using specific strategies based on data. The difference between small group, it's more intentional. Small group could be every student, high and low. Good. Okay, and then she says intervention structured and targeted instruction to build low skills in order to bring up a student closer to their grade level. Good job, everybody. So y'all are all tier 1 students. That's why you were chosen for these roles. Okay. Now this is the fun part, the personal mission statement. Okay, so we're going to take 5 to 7 minutes to create your personal mission statement for the year. This will be used to guide your decisions and help you meet long-term goals. So an example is, my mission is to help teachers enhance the reading experience for all scholars. Okay, so a tip is to try and make it 1 sentence long. Use a powerful verb like inspire, motivate, educate, or whatever floats your boat, and then just be ready to share out at the end. Okay, so I'm not going to put you guys in breakout rooms. You can go ahead and work on your own, and I'm going to put the timer on for 7 minutes, and then if everybody's done early, we'll go ahead and stop. Okay, all right, go for it. Less than 5 minutes. I know Scran's done and Skorjewski's done. Y'all keep working though. Don't feel rushed. Awesome. I see Phyllis is done. She sent me hers. You don't have to send me in the chat, but she did send me hers. So that's great. Looks good. We have 2.5 minutes. Okay, awesome. Everybody's done. Let's have Misty share out first. What was your mission statement? She's in the corner, the top left corner, so I chose her.
My mission statement is to enrich reading instruction for all to become strong and confident readers.
Awesome. What popped out to me was enrich and then strong and competent. I like those words. Nice job. Hardin, you want to share about your mission statement?
Yes, my mission is to partner with teachers and staff in order to provide mental health and self-awareness strategies that they can use in everyday life.
Good. And I want to ask you a follow-up question. Being that you're the student culture coach, you are definitely like an essential role to instruction in a unique way. So why would you say that your mission statement is important to you?
Because we as educators, we have a huge role to fulfill, and it's all about our interactions with our students as well as staff. That we can actually establish relationships, and if we have positive relationships, that'll make everything a lot more easier in the long run.
Yes. Good. And that is also something unique to FLA is the role of the student culture coach. So good job. Okay. Miss Walker, I'm going to read yours out loud. My mission is to equip teachers with strong reading and writing resources that will be used to develop great readers, promote comprehension, and provide support to teachers to meet the need of every student. When I saw the word equip, this popped up in my head like a muscle arm. even though you are the instructional coach and you're going to oversee everybody, can just tell me a little bit more about how your role is important and unique.
So I feel like my role is important and unique because I'm part of the cohort that goes to these trainings to get the information to bring back to the school. And so making sure that teachers not only know what to do, but me modeling and helping teachers to understand and see the value in it.
Good, good. And then another word that popped out to me was the value, you know? Okay. And then good job. Scranton says, oh, share out your Scranton.
I said, my mission is to uplift my colleagues while we band together to grow students.
Uplift your colleagues while you band together to grow. That's awesome. That's awesome. What kind of drove you to choose the word uplift? So I like that word.
Uplift to me, I feel like that can look like academically, rather I'm uplifting or growing. Like I know that there's this great training I attended and I just know so-and-so would really love it and benefit from it. So whether it's their professional growth or if it's, uplifting their spirits. We have days that are hard. And I think that my role as a co-teacher is partially to make sure that my colleagues are doing okay. And I think just like Coach Harden addressed, that also means socially and emotionally as well.
Good. Good. Great job, everyone. Okay. Now I'm going to allow you to, that concludes our training. So I'm going to go ahead and allow you to fill out the Google form. And at this point, you can exit and just go do that and then have a wonderful day. Okay, Miss Fan. So you came over here, so because you got kicked out of the Zoom, but it's okay. All right. So my mission is to motivate students to be more educated than yesterday or in every way possible. So what kind of drove you to choose the word motivate?
Because some students are just very reluctant and they're just not really motivated in themselves. So I want to help find their motivation.
Help them find their motivation. Good. That's awesome, especially in those primary grade levels. Okay. Just remember to go take the survey on Nearpod.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
So this last part, I wanted to go over what my feedback was from my participants. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I did this by means of a Google form. And so the first question was, how helpful did you find this training? And 3 of them answered very helpful. And then the one answered helpful. So that's good. I was in the 4s and 5 range and not in the low range. And then here's some responses of what they liked most about the training. One of them said it was the chance to share our thoughts and understanding with a fellow educator. Someone else wrote, I loved getting to write my personal mission statement, giving me time to reflect on what my role can mean to others and what I want it to have look like by the end of the year is so important. I think that is very important, especially when you're doing a new position. Someone else said it was interactive and very informative. And then someone else said it was simply engaging. 100% of them said they would recommend this training to a colleague. So that's good. And then as far as the feedback and suggestions, the first response is, I feel this was a strong training, but would like to see more interaction on the Nearpod. So what she meant by that, because I went and asked her, she said that basically I should have shared my screen so that the audience could see the Nearpod that's watching the video at the same time as the presentation. This one says, my suggestion is that we could have time to come together with the grade levels that we'll be supporting to really dive deep into what our support looks like versus other roles of support on campus, because we do have a lot of support on our campus. And so that we are all on one page and understand the expectations. That was good feedback too, because then on top of this training, like now that you know what your responsibility is, okay, what's the next step and how does that look in action? So they're already looking forward. So that's good. And then someone else said, great job of hosting the training. It was organized and well planned. So I just wanted to share that feedback and say that it is important for us to do those things, because then that helps us grow. So thank you so much.